use your powers for evil.
Evil? Your evil is mine.
Welcome back to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs, ready to talk some Doctor Who with my partner in time, Jesse Jackson.
Hello, Charles. I guess I should say knock, knock.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who.
Did you,
That's the most obvious joke.
Yes, one of the online reviews talked about that in the 70s, that was, Whovians would do knock, knock. Who's there? Doctor Who. Exactly. So.
I would say the Whovians of the 70s needed to step their game up a little bit, but compared to today.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, they can't be us, so.
They cannot.
So
yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back for episode 81, where obviously we're going to talk about Knock Knock. Know who's there, but yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. That is the fourth episode of Series 10 this year. So, yep, you guessed it. We're already at 1/3 through Series 10, just like that. Boo.
Sad.
Yes, but looking forward to talking about this one with you. Thought it was a nice and little creepy episode. Glad to see some creepiness getting back into Doctor Who. Long awaited, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts about this one, Jesse.
Yeah, it was a very creepy episode. That is a perfect choice of a word. I was telling Charles before we hit record, Chris watched this with me, and Chris is my, son who's living with us right now while he's trying to work on housing. And they got really good news. His girlfriend, who lives in Colorado, got a job in Dallas, and so he has to go house hunting. And in fact, on Saturday, a real estate agent sent him a bunch of listings.
Yeah.
So he was
very timely.
Yeah. So I said, "Hey, Chris, watch this for a moment," and I was just going to have him watch the beginning. And he got sucked into it. He sat down, he watched the whole episode, laughed at the appropriate places, and this morning when I woke up, he went, "That was a creepy blank Doctor Who, Dad. God, it was so good." So Chris would give it 10 creepy leasing agents out of 10, I think.
Hopefully that gets them a little more sucked in, because we can always use another one to the cause.
Absolutely. This was a, I continue to say, wow, the Doctor Who team are going all out on this, final, series before they change over management. This is just... I'm loving this, and this was just another great episode. I know I'm sounding redundant, but Charles, this was really good.
Yeah, thankfully the seasons, at least Capaldi's era, there seemed to be improving with each series. I thought that Series 9 was better than Series 8.
Yeah.
And I think so far, Series 10 may be better than Series 9. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely off to a promising start. So So let's start talking about this. Just a little quick overview. This episode, Knock Knock, was written by Mike Bartlett, who is new to Doctor Who.
Okay.
He hasn't really written for Doctor Who before, so bringing a little freshness into the mix, which is always good. At least it's a good idea, in my opinion. Directed by Bill Anderson, who directed the previous week's episode, Thin Ice. So,
I
go ahead.
I tend to let you do the heavy lifting on this, and I appreciate you always, looking up the guest stars and the writers.
Right.
I would not have guessed this was a first episode because I think they got the. Of course, Bill is a fairly new companion, but I thought the writer really caught the Doctor's personality, and well done, and it 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 moved quickly. It was a good plot, so this did not feel like a rookie writer.
Right.
This felt like someone who really understood the Doctor, understood the purpose of the show, and gave us a really good story.
Yeah, I think if incoming showrunner Chris Chibnall decides to bring Mike Bartlett back, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I thought he did a very nice job. There were some, like I want to say some flaws, but just there were some things that didn't quite click. But overall, I thought this was a really solid effort and a solid Doctor Who episode, in my opinion.
Good.
So, yeah, you mentioned some guest cast. I just have a couple people to mention in this time. First off, David Suchet, or Suchet, I'm not sure if it's French or what, but I'll go with Suchet. He plays the landlord, the main villain, if you will, in this story. He's most notable to British viewers as Hercule Poirot on Agatha Christie's Poirot.
I thought I recognized him for that. Yes.
Yeah, the TV series. So if you watched a lot of, Masterpiece Theater or what have you, you've probably seen him before.
Right.
And yeah, he's very. That's his big claim to fame, I think, is as Hercule Poirot.
Okay.
And it's nice to always have an Agatha Christie connection on Doctor Who.
Absolutely.
Never goes wrong there. He was also in a couple of movies you may have heard from the 80s. Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes.
Yes.
And Iron Eagle. If you remember that movie with Louis Gossett Jr. from the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in that one.
Okay.
So, and the other person I want to mention, Mariah Gale. She's... this actress was in she's going to be in the upcoming series of Broadchurch.
Okay.
So you can look for her there. She's going to play a character called Caroline. So I just wanted to mention that real quick.
All right. Very nice.
All right. So let's get on to the heavy discussion.
Okay.
And our first topic, our house in the middle of our street.
Yes.
A reference to the Madness classic from the 80s.
Yes.
The ska band Madness. So this is the one to talk about the Doctor, Bill, and her housemates.
So I find it sad that I liked the housemates and felt more connection with them in one episode than I did the first 3 episodes of Class.
I think that's an absolutely fair point. I am totally with you on this one. I would rather see a spin-off of Bill if she doesn't come back
right
next year. I would rather see a spin-off with Bill and her housemates
yes.
than I would watching more of Class.
And we will talk about Class as we always do at the end, but that's the thing I thought is right away I liked her classmates.
They're more likable, I think.
They are likable. They are some interesting. There was some funny banter when they were looking for houses, and then, when they're sitting there with none of their phone signals, waiting on food to come, and the discussion, and if it's mice, I'm gone, and just there was some nice banter back and forth. The houses, you knew. Not just because it's a Doctor Who episode, but when you see that creepy house, you're like, this is not going to end well. And with the landlord sign here, you're like, what are you guys thinking? Have you never watched a horror movie?
Well, Bill, I think, she hasn't traveled with the Doctor very long.
Right.
But you think she'd be a little more suspicious.
I did love her scene where she goes, okay, it's not a puddle, it's not a creepy robot,
right.
It's not a big fish, it's just an old house. So I thought it was really a likable cast, and I hope we see more of them. I was really
Right.
glad at the end that they were able to save them, kind of undo. Though a little sad for the 97 and 77 people, you couldn't save them, but okay, whatever.
Hopefully, the 77 people got to see Star Wars before they died.
Yes, absolutely. I did.
Just throwing that out there.
Yes, great chemistry between them. A lot of fun. I loved the guy having a little crush on Bill. And Shim kind of like, okay, I get that you like me, but you're not my type.
I like that for the simple fact that the guy wasn't a dick about it.
No.
In response, he wasn't like offended or angry.
No.
He's just like, oh, okay, I never had a shot. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, okay.
And he was just like, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not me. It's just hey, it's just one of those things. And I thought that was like, it was very matter of fact. Just move right on. Didn't dwell on it. It was great.
I agree to that. I love that. It's kind of like, oh, okay. It's not that I failed. I never had a shot. So, okay, good. I don't have to feel bad about myself.
If this episode had been on the CW, it would have turned into this whole big drama.
Yeah.
But not here.
Yeah, no, really well done. I like that a lot. I love that the Doctor, I know he did not like, and I may be jumping ahead, I know he did not like Bill calling him grandfather or granddad. He seemed, I'm not that old. But I do think that is a little bit of the relationship of a grandfather and her being an orphan, and
right.
This kind of, he's taken on as her mentor and her guidance counselor and also a grandfather, because your parents are the people that help you move, right? They go and they help you pack up the stuff and they help you move, and I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if it means something significant when he says this is all you have. That's a little sad.
Yeah.
Chris,
I think maybe he thought that there would be more
right.
to Bill's life.
Yes.
But you bring up a good point, because I was kind of wondering. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't see the Doctor being that bothered by it. I actually thought that because he refers to he kind of picks up the excuse or the the cover and refers to Bill as his granddaughter.
Right.
Which I have to wonder is that, remember the first episode where we saw Susan on the Doctor's desk of this season?
Yes.
Is this more foreshadowing for possibly the return of Susan?
Are you saying we're seeing Chekhov's granddaughter? And
I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so. I do feel like I will be a little.
What do nuclear vessels have to do with Chekhov?
The reason I said he had a little bit, because he argued about his age at first with her. He was going, oh, no, I'm father. And she's, okay, grandfather.
Well, he does try to say, well, I'm down with the kids.
Yes. I also really liked, and once again, Chris thought this was a really sweet moment when she shows the room to the picture of her mom. Right. And says, I know you'd be proud of me. And so I had to pause and explain to Chris real quick about how the photo came, that the Doctor had gotten that for him, because it was even more a special moment because of that. That was a really sweet moment. I tell you what.
But it sounds like, that probably Bill lost that picture of her mom because that at the end of the episode, the house goes, collapses on itself.
Oh, Charles! Now you bummed me out.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
They didn't get any of their stuff. The house, like they're like, okay, I guess we can't get our stuff because the house crumbled to bits.
All right.
Unless they sift through the rubble or something.
Yeah. Wow, that's depressing now.
Sorry.
All right, now I'm gonna drop my grade by a point because now I'm depressed. She doesn't have a. The doctor will go back. The doctor will go back and get the photos for her.
Yeah, maybe he could do a little timey-wimey and slip back and get her photo. Or, you could just go back and take another one.
Yeah, absolutely. That was but yes, I I hope we are going to see Susan, and I do love this relationship, this kind of grandfather-granddaughter relationship.
I just thought it was interesting. It was like, well, they seem to be playing up the grandfather-granddaughter thing a little
I
bit
agree.
here.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's deliberate or just a coincidence, but I find it very interesting at the very
Absolutely.
least.
Okay.
All right. So anything else about the students you want to talk about?
Just I like them.
Or about the doctor. I like the doctor. Basically, he exposes Bill's musical taste to the others.
Yes.
And the other housemates are like, well, we got to work on that music taste a little bit there, Bill.
Now, Charles, I am stuck in Bruce Springsteen era of music, so I did not recognize the band. So, do you know anything about the band they're playing?
Well, I mean, this is more of like a Brit pop band.
Okay.
So it's not exactly my speed either.
Okay, but I thought you might have done research. So
nothing against to those who enjoy Brit pop.
I assume it's kind of a boy band, hip hop, kind of new band, right? That's playing.
Right. Yeah, okay. It was a younger band, and
they sounded good.
Yep, it was fine, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I thought
obviously
it was real fun.
The doctor who could listen to music from all of time and space.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of funny. He's like, oh yeah, I know this person. And
another great moment.
Trying to act all hip. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
then he throws out the Quincy Jones, like, hey, like I was with Quincy Jones, and then he had a bass player that was this, and I thought
because he couldn't play. Not the worst part wasn't that he was some weird alien.
It was like an alien.
It was because he couldn't play. Which I love when Capaldi can throw in his love of music, because that's been very much on the record about his, musical roots. The other thing,
and it's now incorporated into his doctor.
Yes, which
his doctor is a very musical doctor.
Yes.
So yeah.
Another point I really loved was when the doctor says, maybe we should check on your roommate that we haven't seen for a day.
Yeah.
I was like, because he just does that. No, after a while, you would stick your head in there and check on somebody. So I thought that was a really good line, too.
Yeah, because you did have Bill going throughout at least the early part of the episode. The doctor's like, hey, there's some weird stuff going on, and trying to point out this and this and this, and Bill's very dismissive. She's like, no, everything's perfect. Really, it is.
Absolutely.
There's no monsters here. There's no aliens here. Trust me. But the doctor knows obviously differently, and his intuition is obviously more on the money than Bill's here.
Always.
Well, at least so far.
Yes.
So far. But anyway, so yeah, I thought it was great, and I loved their interaction, and I did like that kind of grandfatherly granddaughter relationship they're sort of building here.
Yes.
Which I like that. Like the doctor is the cool grandfather.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our second topic, and hopefully you like this one. I better knock on wood. A reference to the Eddie Floyd classic, right here on the countdown. Coming in at number 2 on the countdown this week.
We are a very musical Doctor Who podcast this season.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it was. I don't quite.
And that's a reference to the landlord,
yes,
Eliza, and the Dryads.
Yes. So. I don't quite understand, and it's not important how they made her wood and helped her live. That was a hand wave, as
right.
We talk about. But
well, that was she was part of the house.
Okay.
So if the house is made of wood,
okay,
then it kind of makes more sense that she would be made of wood.
And they could, somehow, victims, taking the young people or just anyone helps the house live. It was a very creepy.
Like the house ingests them through the walls and the floors and whatnot.
Yes. Great scene where they find the musical roommate, halfway in the wall, and the record album being stuck, kind of helps him, keeps him halfway in there, and then when they, he gets swallowed up. That was a great scene. I think the whole kind of, and I know I keep saying the creepiness of this villain, and then the how he shows up, someone of my age, needs to be discretion, and the hip hitting the tuning fork and touching the walls you're like, God, this guy is so freaking creepy and strange. Wonderful kind of haunted mansion type vibe.
Right.
I am not a fan of the scary Doctor Who stories as much as I am more of the, adventure, exciting, kind of thrilling ones.
And see, I'm the complete opposite.
Right.
I want Doctor Who to be as creepy as possible.
Right.
I think Doctor Who is better when it's creepy, in my opinion.
Right. And so, but this was really for those of you who love creepy episodes, this was a really well done creepy episode. And I also agree that the diversity of Doctor Who by the different kind of styles, we can do silly, we can do fun, we can do creepy, we can do adventure, we can do thoughtful. This was really well done. Great victim, great villain. And I loved...
Great victim, huh?
Yeah, great victim. Great victims. Well, in a lot of ways, the mom was a victim.
Right.
And then she became, I thought it was
What'd you think of that twist where instead of being the daughter,
yeah,
Eliza turns out to be the landlord's mother?
I thought that was a really good twist. I had not seen that coming. It made perfect sense once they explained it. Because, what kind of adult man brings insects in? But when you think about it as a little boy, absolutely. And the idea of a child wanting to protect his mom and then going on, and I also like the reveal of the mom going, we can't do this anymore. She needs to, and the doctor saying, you're the parent, was a nice... ending. It was a good,
good closure.
It is a good closure. Yes, I think so too. Wonderful, as Chris said this morning. Man, those bugs were just creepy, Dad. They just were crazy. I'm like, yes, they were.
Yeah, it makes you want to go into the shower and just I need to be clean.
Yes.
I thought the makeup on Eliza was just outstanding.
I absolutely agree. The makeup was amazing. She looked wooden, like a wooden, nymph. But and then the special effects of the bugs kind of taking it and going to dust was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah, I was half expecting, and I posted this on this comment on Twitter last night as I watched the episode. I'm like, I keep waiting for Eliza to turn to the camera and going, "Okay, your move, cosplayers."
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead, try and emulate this.
Yeah, really well done.
So I'm sure some of them are going to try. So I'd be curious to see what the if there's going to be some Eliza cosplayers at Doctor Who conventions.
Absolutely.
But I just thought that was a fantastic job. Let's see what else. Was there anything else about the landlord? I thought that David Suchet was fantastic as the landlord. I thought he was very creepy. Especially when he's talking about you've signed the contract and now it's time to pay.
Yeah.
Very, very, very Doctor Who villain menacing in that tone.
And also the talk about his daughter and the support and, as long as you have someone to care for, really well done. And then I did love the scenes where they talked about all that was wrong with the house, like the power doesn't work, but they're still willing because it's cheap to stay in the house.
Right. It's we don't have a washing machine, or the outlets don't, won't take any. And the doctor points this out. It's hey, the outlets are completely incompatible with your modern electronic devices, and they're whatever. It's cheap and it's big.
Yeah, we're students. We can't be picky.
We're used to it. And even Bill makes a comment about hey, okay, so there's all this crap going on. Well, we're students. We're kind of used to that.
And back to one of the other topic, didn't I got a smile, and I assume you did too, that all the students recognized the Doctor. And they're like, "Oh, look, it's the Doctor! Hey, the Doctor!" Like, high five, legend.
Right.
None of this you didn't have to explain because they all go to the same school.
Right, and obviously he's got a rep as like one of the cool professors, apparently. The professor that everybody wants, and we talked about that before when we talked about the series opener.
Yes.
That it seems like he has this rep now, and obviously his reputation precedes him. So yeah, everybody knows him, and I think it saves a lot of time on introductions. Going, oh yeah, by the way, this is this old guy that just happens to follow me around.
Right. Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, thought it was good. All right. So, okay, let's move on to our third topic. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Or piano woman, perhaps. So, yeah, that's obviously Nardole in the Mystery Vault once again. And we actually get some more things to chew on in the Nardole scene this week.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, one of my quotes is from Nardole, so I'll skip that now. But he talks about.
That's probably one of my quotes too.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
The Doctor bringing food to. We now know it's a person for sure.
Right.
We know it's someone that the Doctor at least enjoys company with, may not necessarily like them. So this does seem they're screaming that it's Missy,
Yes. Yeah, that seems like they're telegraphing that. So I kind of hope it's not, because I think that would be, I don't want it to be that obvious.
Right.
Especially because they make a point when the Doctor is trying to say like, hey, I've got some stories.
Yeah.
And like he says, well, there's like one that involves some space wood lice and a haunted house, which gets no response from whoever's inside. And then when he says, well, yeah, there's a bunch of young people getting eaten, and then whoever's inside the vault is like, oh yeah, time to play the piano again.
Yeah, Pop goes the weasel.
Yeah, Pop goes the weasel, exactly.
Now, if they had not announced that... So,
obviously, that's something that enjoys that kind of thing. So, it does seem like Missy would be the most logical candidate here.
And if we had not known that John Sims was coming back, that would be a great reveal, that it's the previous incarnation of the Master. And in a lot of ways, Charles, it was a better world before the internet.
Right.
For as far as spoilers, and and TV shows, surprising us. But that's old man talk. I believe it is Missy. I don't know if they're gonna be able to surprise us, and whether they will or not. I'm gonna be happy in however they play this out. Because if it is Missy, and I agree with you that they've kind of telegraphed it, and so it would be nice to be a twist. But there is the question of, how did she get there? Why is she in there? Why are they keeping her trapped? What's going on? I also a little worried, if I'm the Doctor, why am I going in there and bringing, food and talking? Isn't there a chance she could hurt you or take advantage of that? So a lot of questions to answer.
Okay, so my speculation on this
is
pure speculation. So yeah, I was obviously doing some thinking about this. Okay, so if it is Missy, and it does kind of make sense that it would be at least some version of the Master here, but Missy's obviously the leading candidate of the Masters. That especially being inside a Gallifreyan vault. So, is this perhaps something that perhaps Missy needs to be hidden from something? And being inside the vault is what keeps whatever's trying to detect Missy from locating her.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's my theory, because that's why, like, well, it doesn't matter if I open the vault or not, as long as Missy doesn't come out of the vault.
Okay.
She's still hidden.
Makes sense. I
That's
like
my
that.
theory.
Okay.
That's my theory on that.
That's a good theory.
So, but again, what if it's maybe the John Sim master?
Right.
Master number 6, the
Mhm.
sixth master instead, which would be an even more interesting reveal to me than I think than Missy, because Missy seems too obvious.
Yeah.
So at least if it does turn out to be the John Sim master, that's more of a surprise. But again, why would he, especially with John Sim's master being so really out there?
Yeah.
Why would he be so cordial to the Doctor? Why would the Doctor feel like he could sit down and have dinner
Yes.
with the John Sim master?
And because one of the things that I've liked about the Missy Master is the affection she's shown for the Doctor, and remembering they were best friends, and even her the way she treated Claire, it's just, Missy is a very likable master and very funny, and
Right.
with this underlying, evilness underneath her, but a very charming evil. And so yes, the piano playing fits her better than it does someone else. This whole playing the piano and then the pop goes the weasel, it comes across with the way that this Masters has been portrayed. So we'll see
Right.
what happens.
Yeah. Now the only other suspect I can really come up with here,
Yes.
is maybe River Song. Because now, granted, part of me doesn't want it to be River Song because, in the Husbands of River Song, that gave River a really nice exit.
Yes.
Of not, like, if you didn't see River at all, that would be a nice way to end her story.
Yes.
But part of me has to wonder if Moffat would just love to bring River back one last time before he walks out the door.
Yeah. And
it seems like, the Doctor bringing River dinner would be something, and she does have a very malevolent streak to her at times.
Yes.
So that would be my other suspect here.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a case. I'm more inclined to think Missy.
Yes,
obviously.
absolutely. Yes.
But part of me wants to keep that door open for the possibility of River.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Who is the evil female Time Lord?
Well, the Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
So that's my long shot as we're recording this on Kentucky Derby weekend. So
right.
That's my £2, my $2 on a long shot.
Is that the 40-1 long shot?
Yes, it is. That's it. Yes. Okay.
So yeah, I would say, I'd say Missy is definitely more of a 5-1.
Yes.
Or possibly a 3-1.
Yes.
The John Sim Master probably around 10-1, 9-1.
Right.
But I'd say I'd definitely say that the Ronnie is like a long shot.
Yes, I agree with that.
Definitely up there.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be great. Or perhaps maybe it's Susan.
Yes.
Now that would blow me away.
Susan would be away, yes. But
because especially with setting up, like, trying to get Susan, everybody thinking about Susan again.
Yeah.
To have her be the one in that vault would be the big payoff.
Yes, and maybe she went crazy. She has. Well,
we don't know that whoever's inside is crazy.
No, but I'm saying with all the happiness about someone dying, and maybe having to be in a vault. There we go. Maybe she's had a mental breakdown. So There we go. All right. Very nice.
All right. So anything else about that you want to talk about? I do want to mention about Nardole.
Well,
we don't really talk about Nardole much because Nardole, he seems, he seems like he knows what's going on. Obviously, it seems like he suspects who's in the vault.
Absolutely, and I'm also a little surprised how little Nardole we've gotten this season.
Right.
With him being in the opening credits.
I thought he would be like traveling around with the Doctor.
I did too, and so I'm a little surprised about that. I also, but once again, he is.
It does seem that though in next week's episode,
yes.
looks like he's involved in that. So maybe Nardole finally gets to go off on an adventure next week.
Yeah, but I've liked him as this kind of very loyal, quote unquote companion. There he's helping him and being very steadfast and helping to keep the vault secure. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
They bring up regeneration, and he changes the subject.
Yes, I do want to talk about that. Yes.
Now, I thought it was very interesting their discussion about I'm a Time Lord. Right. And that sounds so posh. Oh, your lord, ladies.
And you're talking about the Doctor and Bill.
Yes. But then he talks about not needing to sleep except after a big lunch or regeneration. And she asked about regeneration. He changes the subject. Obviously, we know a regeneration is coming because we are going to get a new Doctor. We're getting a new showrunner. We're getting a new Doctor. So is this just a standard kind of setting the story, or may we get surprised with a regeneration that's before the Christmas special?
That's a possibility. I have to wonder, though, but because the way the Doctor did not want to talk about regeneration with Bill is that, and I speculated this on Twitter last night, does the Doctor know a regeneration is coming?
Mm-hmm.
So does he know that that's in the work? Like, does he know that his time is ending soon?
It certainly feels a little bit like that, doesn't it, Charles?
Yeah, that's the vibe I got, because normally, like, he would kind of like talk about it a little bit, or at least not want to avoid talking about it.
Right.
But go ahead.
There's also been speculation, in the press, hints that this would be a different kind of regeneration.
Right.
That's not spoilery. That's just speculation that people have had. So you wonder if, each, the modern regenerations especially have been very dramatic.
Yes.
And so we're going to see what happens. So I just thought that was an interesting, and I like your theory that he may know what's coming on, though I can't figure out why he would.
Right.
So we'll see.
I think it's entirely possible, since we're on the topic, we could see the regeneration in the 12th episode of Series 10.
Yes.
But through timey-wimey Moffat means,
yes,
we'll get one more Capaldi episode for Christmas.
Okay.
Like, somehow, either this will be another big, long regeneration farewell tour like Tenet, which I'm hoping it's not.
Yeah.
Or that we'll get a story of the Doctor before his regeneration takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And the regeneration still counts.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be good.
So we'll see. That's again more speculation on my part. But. Yeah.
My hope is that we get the other side of the Day of the Doctor with Capaldi and the First Doctor, an adventure of that, seeing that side.
It certainly seems possible, especially if, like, the Master's in play, two Masters in fact are in play. And we know that, remember from David Tennant's final story, The End of Time, that the John Sim Master was lost when Rassilon and everybody attempted to bring Gallifrey back from the Time War.
Right.
So John Sim's Master does have that connection to the Time War.
Yes.
And we don't know exactly what happened, how John Sim's Master regenerated from that into Missy.
Yes.
So maybe we'll get that story.
Got a lot going on.
There is. So yeah, it seems there are some puzzle pieces out there. The question is whether they fit like they should or not, or we're trying to cram them in and bending the pieces as we do so.
Absolutely.
All right. So anything else about this story you want to talk about?
Nope, that was it. Just once again, a really another great episode. This has been A wonderful season. And, as I think back, I loved Capaldi's first season. I was happy with it. And then I was happy with the second season. So this has been a true joy having him as the Doctor, and a very nice treat. And so I'm thrilled that we've still got. I'm going to focus on what we have left, not how little we have left, just that we have new stuff left.
I agree. I mean, I think maybe that's why I kind of think that if there is a regeneration, that maybe we'll still get one more Capaldi episode, because I really want at least one more Capaldi episode.
Yes.
I'm not ready to let him go just yet.
I'm not either.
So.
Okay.
But obviously we don't have a say in the matter. So
Nope.
yeah. All right. One more thing I want to discuss really quickly before we move on is that according to Mike Bartlett, the writer of Knock Knock, the character Harry in this story.
Yes.
According to him, this Harry is the grandson of Fourth Doctor companion Harry Sullivan.
Now, I'm not familiar with Harry Sullivan.
No, you haven't seen any stories with Harry, because Harry was only really featured in Tom Baker's first season as Doctor Who.
Okay.
Or as the Fourth Doctor on Doctor Who, excuse me. And he was also in an episode called The Android Invasion. Okay. But so yeah, Harry wasn't around for very long. But if you're familiar with the very early Tom Baker stories, you know of Harry. Okay. He was a unit doctor.
Okay.
That ends up joining Sarah Jane and the Fourth Doctor in the first season of Tom Baker's run.
Nice.
And so yeah, it would be. And so according to the writer Mark Bartlett, Harry in the story is Harry Sullivan's grandson. But apparently the scene that reveals this was cut from the final edit.
Okay.
So it's kind of a, Easter egg. Or not really Easter egg, but it's, just maybe hopefully it'll show up as a deleted scene on the Blu-ray at some point. But I just thought it was really interesting. And thankfully, Harry in this story gets brought back.
Yeah, we have often said that we wished we could see descendants of previous companions, especially Jamie's granddaughter. So yes,
I wish they would have touched on that a little more.
Yeah, I think so. Once again, would have made better if Class had that connection. A
more direct connection to Doctor Who.
Yeah, like if you could have had. By the way, I watched last night's episode, and it was not bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. Once again, I'm enjoying it more.
As did I.
But the idea, if you could have had, and no one's giving us money to develop a television show, but how cool would it be?
Why not? Come on, look at all these great ideas.
Yeah,
how can you not want us to develop your TV show?
A gang of second or third generation companions,
right?
That have. I wish I could go explore like my grandfather did, or, I think that could have been very interesting. And, Sarah Jane Smith's adopted son, and then kind of this.
Oh, yeah, Luke would have been right for, or even if you recast the role, Luke would have been a great idea for a spinoff.
Yeah, and so you could have had this whole, Challengers of the Unknown kind of, this goop together that, we're, and then the Doctor could have checked on them and said, these are all kind of the grandchildren or great grandchildren or children of my companions. Would have been fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good deal, Harry.
Like a legacy type of series.
Legacy would have been a great name of the series.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. All right.
Okay. So let's move on to favorite lines of the episode.
I like this one. I did love the scene where the Doctor sees the trees moving and he wets his finger. Right. And I knew what he was doing. And there was, later in the episode, he asks Bill, did you hear the tree squeaking when you arrived outside? And Bill, yeah, it was the wind. And the doctor, there wasn't any wind. This whole just creepiness, like, there's no one there. Like just a typical line from a, horror movie. There's no one at the door knocking. So yes, I love that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a very traditional, old school horror movie type exchange. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I like the exchange between Bill and the doctor, where Bill says, "Wait, doctor, that doesn't make any sense." And the doctor replies, "You can't interrupt. I'm doing my thing here."
Yes. I like that. The other thing is when Harry, speaking of, he goes, "I'm scared." And the doctor goes, "Don't be." Why? It doesn't help.
Right.
And, as someone who's an optimist and trying to always think of the positive, I just love that. Why not be scared? Doesn't help.
Yeah.
Just kind of...
How is it gonna help the situation?
Yeah, exactly. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I liked the doctor's big speech toward, well, it's really not a big speech, but a little speech toward Eliza at the end of the episode, where he goes, "What's the point of surviving if you never see anyone? If you hide yourself away from the world? When did you last open the shutters?"
Yeah, that made my list too.
And that kind of like could apply to a lot of people that are afraid to venture out into the world or just kind of lead sheltered lives.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nardole's, you don't have to go to outer space to fight monsters. There's plenty of things that want to kill you right here on Earth. I thought that was wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, that was great. It was great to actually get a good Nardole quote this week. I had the same quote, so yeah. Totally.
Good.
Any others?
There's a couple things. I do not agree with this, but the caretaker's hope is its own full form of cruelty.
Yes.
Very.
Yeah, that was from the landlord. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like. I don't agree with that thought, but I thought it was great. And then the doctor going, "All right, you lot, back to the estate agents. Better luck next time."
Yeah. Yep. It's like, sorry about your luck, kids, but yep.
Good luck.
Happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Sucks to be you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. All right. So, what's your rating for this story?
So I gave it 8.5 cartons of Chinese food. Because I love Chinese food.
Yeah, I thought that was great that the doctor's all excited. He's like, "Oh, I love Chinese food."
Yeah, when he goes, "What's that smell?" and you're like, "Oh, Chinese." Yeah, it's like great.
So did the doctor bring Chinese food, do you think, to the person in the vault?
Didn't he say Italian?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think
maybe he did.
I think he mentioned, because I was expecting Chinese, and I think he mentioned I have Italian.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I'll take your word on it because I totally missed that on that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yeah, what's your rating?
8.5 cartons of Chinese. Yes.
Chinese food. Yeah,
How about you?
Sorry. Obviously, apparently, I'm not awake yet. So yeah, my rating 8.5 tuning forks.
Ooh, nice. I thought you would give it a little bit higher because of your love for creepiness.
I do, but this wasn't. I mean. Some of it was a good bunch of it was just Bill goofing around with her students.
Okay.
Or her friends.
Okay.
I should say. So it wasn't like a start to finish creepy episode.
Good deal. So once again, we're in sync.
Yep.
So Charles, when we go in the TARDIS or the Wayback Machine, what is your recommendation for Reverse the Polarity?
Yes. So this week we're going to reverse the polarity back to 1989, the final season of Doctor Who, the original series, with Ghost Light.
Ooh.
The second serial of season 26, written by Mark Platt. And we have the TARDIS arriving at Gabriel Chase, which is a mansion house in Perryville near London. The house is named Gabriel Chase. In 1883. And it turns out that 100 years later, Ace visits the creepy house, and she felt an evil presence when she was younger.
Okay.
Okay, so she ends up burning the house, as we find out, because she just thought it was so evil.
All right.
And she sets fire to the house. So the doctor, of course, wants to know what the deal is with that, so his curiosity drives them to seek this out. And so they find that the house is under the control of a mysterious man named Josiah Samuel Smith, who has brainwashed his servants and has a Neanderthal for a butler
Okay.
named Nimrod. Now, the original owners of the house have seemingly disappeared. So we have disappearing people from the house.
Yes.
So we have another creepy house. And Ace ends up investigating the cellar, which turns out to be a spacecraft with something trapped inside.
Ooh, okay.
The Doctor encounters the creature from the spacecraft, which is known as Control, and which has taken on human form. The Doctor the Doctor releases the trapped creature, which turns out there's another creature in the house called Control, and the other creature that has been trapped inside the spacecraft is called Light, which turns out to be a being that takes the form of an angel. Now, Light is not happy with all the change that's going on in the planet since while he was asleep. And as Control tries to evolve into a lady, because evolution is a very big theme in this story, Ace tries to come to grips with her feelings about this evil house. And the Doctor is trying to basically keep the upper hand on everything that's going on that's been set in motion.
Right.
Because obviously he's a very manipulative doctor, for one thing. So the Doctor finally convinces Light of the futility of opposing evolution, which causes him to overload and dissipate into the surrounding house.
Okay.
Which sounds a little familiar with Eliza.
It does.
And the Doctor and Ace realize that this presence was the one that Ace sensed 100 years later and caused her to set the fire in 1983.
Oh, okay.
So in the end, though, the evil Josiah Smith ends up becoming the new Control creature imprisoned on the ship, while Control and Nimrod end up leaving in the alien ship to explore the universe. So they get their happy ending. Josiah Smith gets his, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Okay, very good.
So yeah, so if you're in the mood for a good creepy old house story from classic Doctor Who, check out Ghostlight. It's a very odd story, but very creepy at the same time.
Very nice. So what do we got going on next week, Charles?
Next week, we have what appears to be the return to outer space in a story called Oxygen.
Okay.
Written by Jamie Matheson, who you may remember from The Mummy on the Orient Express.
Ooh.
And Flatline.
Nice.
So, yeah, you obviously a writer I'm looking forward to seeing again, especially if he's got a cool, creepy story set in outer space.
Yeah, very cool.
So, big hopes for Oxygen.
Yes.
And yeah, so come on back next week when we discuss that.
It's been some interesting titles. They're very simple titles this year.
Right.
Which has been cool. I continue to really love Bill as a companion. I am happy that it appears the collective fandom seem to like Bill.
Right.
And so I just think she's really done well, and I'm happy. And like I said, if this is her only season, I'm a little sad. I hope she gets some more time with that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. So Charles, if they want to contact the show, how can they?
They can reach us at nextstopEverywhere@gmail.com. Or, obviously, at nextstopsmg on the Twitter machine.
Yes.
And our Facebook account, Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. So please like us there. And also give us a rating on iTunes. And please subscribe to us on iTunes. We would really appreciate that if you don't do so already. If you do, thank you so much for doing so. But,
yes.
Yeah, we could always use some more attention. And rating us on iTunes helps helps us spread the word, and also gets us more noticed on iTunes by people. So yeah, please do so. If you want to help support the show, that's a great way to do it.
Absolutely.
And Jesse, where can they reach you?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. I am also on Facebook, Jesse Jackson, Louisville, Texas. If you want to hear a more, though this has been a pretty musical podcast, but if you want to hear a little musical podcast, Set Lusting Bruce is out, and I've had some.
You're coming up on your 100th episode, if I recall correctly.
I am coming up on my 100th episode.
Yes. I owe you a 100th episode greeting, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. You do. So yes, we've this week over the past couple weeks, we've put out a couple of nice episodes. We've got some dedication shows, and we do a Jackson Cage match episode where 2 songs go in and only 1 come out, which has been pretty fun.
2 songs enter, 1 song leaves.
That's it. So please check us out. And Charles, how about yourself? How can they find you?
Obviously, I'm on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs, or at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs, Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus. Shout out to Karen. And my blog, Geeky Things. Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about Doctor Who and Next Stop Everywhere. And also posted some recent news on Torchwood Series 5.
I saw that.
Yes, where we have the return of Captain Jack, Gwen, and Reese. Actually, John Barrowman, Eve Miles, and so yeah, we're actually getting a Series 5 from Big Finish Productions in the form of 3 audio box set, or excuse me, 4 audio box. No, I'm sorry, 3 audio box sets of 4 episodes each.
Good. That's awesome.
So for a total of 12. So,
great.
So an actual new series. It's called Torchwood Aliens Among Us, and
good.
all the details are on my blog, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, if you're interested.
Very nice. Well, good. Well,
and then of course my other podcast, the Fandom Zone podcast, which I do with friend of the show Karen Lindsay, and Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, which I do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse. And we are going on that series. We're going to be reviewing the final episode from the original Twin Peaks series in episode 5, which we're recording on Thursday.
Good.
And that will be our lead up to the new series of Twin Peaks, which starts in, just 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from today, 14 days till new Twin Peaks after all these years, and Zan and I are way excited about this, if you couldn't tell already.
Charles looks like a kid waiting for Christmas. He is.
I feel about this the same way I felt in 2005 on April 26th, or excuse me, March 26th, when Doctor Who returned after all those years in the woods, and on hiatus, on the long hiatus.
Yes, I am so excited for you, and I am looking forward to going through that journey with you.
I never would have thought I would have seen more new Doctor Who, and I never thought I would have seen more new Twin Peaks. So
here we go. Very nice.
Yep.
Well, thank you, listeners. Thank you, Charles. As always, we appreciate your love and support. We come back to us next week when we will talk Doctor Who in space, Oxygen.
Yep, and drop us a line. Let us know what you think of the show and what your thoughts are on the current season of Doctor Who.
And tell us who you think's in the vault.
Yeah, give us your theories, because you've heard our theories. So if you got some others that we haven't been thinking about, please share them with us.
Absolutely. So now we're going to end with Keep Hope Alive, but first things first, but not necessarily in that order.
Very nice.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.